15th of November, Rabbi Levitt, Gomorrah.
That he's testifying again. Welcome back, Lou.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
So according to Rabbanim, based upon this pasuk, it says you need to have achva, and Eved could be a kosher witness. On that, Ula answered in the Gomorrah that no, really, it's a kal v'chomer that an Eved is not a kosher witness because it's a kal v'chomer from Isha. The Isha is, even though she's ru'uya lavo b'kahal, she is fitting to marry a full-fledged Jew, and as such, her achba with Klal Yisrael is even would appear to be even more weighty than that of an Eved. But what? We see that she is excluded. She's excluded based upon the pasuk that says of Amdu Ha Anashim, that the men got up to testify. And so if she is excluded, even though her achva is more weighty than an Eved's is, then certainly the Eved will also be excluded. So that's the basis of a kal v'chomer. Not because he's excluded based upon the pasuk, because he's not excluded based upon the pasuk. He's only excluded because it's a kal v'chomer. We're building a kal v'chomer from the fact that Isha is excluded based upon the pasuk. So now we'll see how does the Gomorrah answer this answer of Ula. And so we're going to go to, it says ma isha, ma la isha. That is the first word in the line over here is edus. B'kal v'chomer mi isha.
88A2, around the middle.
Oh, I see. There's a few ma'ishas, but this, it's the second ma'isha.
It's the right-hand column in the middle.
The first word in the line is la'edus.
What did you say? The left-hand column.
The right-hand column.
Right, the column in the middle. Yeah, that's one I said here.
The Gomorrah attempts to refute the kal v'chomer.
Right, that's the one I was referring to. Yeah, I've got it. Good.
Okay, so Roy, would you like to read for us? Ma le'isha.
Well, Isha, what comparison can be made to a woman who is disqualified from testifying? Shechein Eina Re'uya Lamila. Since she is not fit for circumcision. Toma Ba'eved, can you say the same about a slave? Shehu Re'uya Lamila, who is fit for circumcision. So Gomorrah rebuts the refutation, thus re-establishing the kal v'chomer. Katan Yochiach, the case of a minor proves that fitness for circumcision is not the reason for witness eligibility. Sheyano b'mila, for he is subject to circumcision, or for a soul, or apostle, la'edus, and yet he is disqualified for testimony. Will I go on? Or?
Let's see over here if we have any Rashis. We don't have any Rashis. No, we don't have any Rashis. Okay, so the Gomorrah is saying that we have a pircha in the Kal V'chomer. The structure of a Kal V'chomer means that we're taking two cases and we're allocating the case of Isha as the Chomor case and the case of Eved as the Kal case. The Isha is the more weighty case in terms of her fitness to be a witness, the Gomorrah maintained, because she's more achva. She's royal of Kahal. Eved is not. But in a case of a Kal V'chomer, the rule of the Kal V'chomer is as follows: a Kal V'chomer means that the designated case, which is the stringent case, the more weighty case, is more weighty than the lighter case in every single halacha, in every single aspect. So if you could find even one, if you could even find one halacha in which the Eved is regarded as being more weighty in his standing to be a witness, then that'll break the Kal V'chomer. Because the logic is that maybe that one reason why that the Eved is more weighty than the Isha, maybe that's the reason why he would be fit to be a witness. Whereas the woman, even though she has all the other things, there's no, in any case, there's no more any Kal V'chomer. There's no more Kal V'chomer. And therefore we would have to say that it could be that on that basis he would be kosher la'edus, whereas the Isha is not, based upon the exclusion from the pasuk. But the Kal V'chomer has been broken, because even one chink in the armor of a Kal V'chomer causes the Kal V'chomer to fall. Okay, so okay, Roy read the next step of the Gomorrah as well. Katan Yochiach.
Katan Yochiach, in the case of a minor, proves that fitness for circumcision is not the reason for witness eligibility. Sheyeshno b'mila, for he is subject to circumcision, b'fosul la'edus, and yet is disqualified for testimony. Right now, this rebuttal is refuted. Ma lekatan, what comparison could be made to a minor who is disqualified from testifying? B'mitzvos, since he is not subject to any of the commandments. Tomer be'eved. Can you say the same about a slave who is subject to many commandments? The Gomorrah upholds the rebuttal of the refutation. Ishe Tachiach, in the case of a woman, proves that mitzvah obligation is not a factor in witness eligibility. Sheyishna b'mitzvos, for she is subject to the commandments. Ufasula laedus, and yet she is disqualified for testimony.
Okay, right. So let's go. Now we have a Rashi to do, I believe. Oh no, actually we don't yet have a Rashi to do. Do we? Einu b'chol mitzvahs. It's at least not the Dibur Maskal of Rashi is not a mirror image of the language of the Gomorrah so far. Yeah, I think it's further on in the Gomorrah. It uses exactly that lashon. So we didn't get to a Rashi yet. Okay, so just to review, what is the Gomorrah doing over here? The Gomorrah the Gomorrah said that, well, perhaps the Eved, since he has this strength of being in the parsha of Mila, whereas the Isha is not in the parsha of Mila, that will break the Kal V'chomer. We can't make a Kal V'chomer anymore, because the Kal V'chomer is that the Isha is stronger than the Eved in all the halachas. And here we found one halacha that she's not. She's weaker than him. So therefore, we've got no Kal V'chomer anymore. Because the logic is that maybe that one strength that the Eved has is in fact the reason why he would be a good witness, whereas the Isha who doesn't have that strength, so that's why she's not she doesn't have it. I mean, she's excluded because of the pasuk. She's excluded because of the pasuk. But we're saying that maybe the Eved has because of this strength that he has, that he is a bar milah. He is subject to the mitzvah. He's chayv in the mitzvah of milah. Maybe that is what is causing him to be a kosher witness. So we can't learn out because and we have no Kal V'chomer that he's not a kosher witness, because we broke that Kal V'chomer with this din that we have that he's chayv in milah. On that, the Gomorrah shows that he's chayv in milah cannot be. It cannot be. We cannot maintain that is the reason why he's chayav that he is a kosher witness. Those two, we can prove that there is not a connection between being chayav in the midst of milah and being deemed a kosher witness. We could prove that there is not a connection like that. And that's from the case of Cotton Yochiach. Cotton will prove that there is not this connection that the Gomorrah wanted to maintain. How so? Because we know that a Cotton is sheyeshno b'mila. He does have a mitzvah of milah in the sense that the father is commanded to do the mitzvah of milah with the Cotton, even though he's a Cotton. And what? And nevertheless, he as a Cotton is pasol le'edus, because the very same pasuk that said that when the men stand up to testify, that excluded a woman also excludes a Cotton. So we know that he's excluded. So if we know that he's excluded, so we see that we cannot maintain that there is we cannot maintain that the mitzvah of milah, being obligated in the mitzvah of milah, is a cause to be deemed a kosher witness. And then we go back the other way. We say, 1 second, we could disprove that as well. Maybe having the mitzvah of milah is in fact a connection and a unity with being a kosher witness. But the reason why a Cotton, even though he does have the mitzvah of milah, The reason why he's excluded is because the pasuk excludes him. No, the Gomorrah says the reason is because Eino b'mitzvahs, she'eino b'mitzvahs. He's not a bar mitzvah yet. So the reason why he's not, he can't be a kosher witness is because he is, he's not obligated in, he himself is not obligated in mitzvahs. Even though the milah is done on him, but the mitzvah of, he's not obligated in mitzvahs. And so therefore, you can't say, it says the Gemara, Tomer be'eved shehu b'mitzvahs. Will you say also about an eved that he's ineligible to be a witness, like a katan is? No, an eved is obligated in mitzvahs. He's obligated in mitzvahs.
What about the factor of the age of the katan and the woman? The katan is,
the issue is not age. The issue is not age. The issue is the katan is not obligated in mitzvahs. Eino b'mitzvahs.
yes.
So the fact that he is excluded from being a kosher witness. Yeah, you know what? Every single one of these steps is a real headache to try to figure out what exactly is the Gemara saying over here. Because really, we have a pasuk over here. It says a katan is not a witness. So what? You have to pay very, very, very close attention to what the argument that the Gomorrah is making over here. Let's go back to the previous step, because the previous step was let katan prove that there is no connection between Mila and between being a witness, because right, that's what we wanted to say in the step before that. The step before that, we wanted to say that perhaps the reason why the Eved will be yes a kosher witness is because he has the Mila of Mila, whereas and therefore that broke the Kal V'chomer, and so it was doing two things. It broke the Kal V'chomer, and we're saying, yeah, that is the reason why perhaps that he is kosher as a witness. Let's say he is kosher as a witness, and that the Gemara says no, you cannot say that, because I know for a fact that that Mila and Edis is not a connection. Where do I see that? From katan. Katan yochia. Katan, the case of katan proves, because even though he is shaykh to the mitzvah of Mila, the Mila is done on him, unlike the Isha. But nevertheless, he's absolutely excluded from being a witness. He cannot be a witness. So on that, the Gomorrah wants to put down that proposition and say, no, the reason that the katan is excluded from mitzvah, excluded from edus, is because he's not a bar mitzvah. He doesn't have an obligation in mitzvahs.
So the age
Even
comes
though,
in there.
what?
So the age does come in there.
Well, you could call it age, but in other words, you could say like this: the age is what determines his obligation in mitzvahs. But the defining feature is that he's not obligated in mitzvahs. That's the language of the Gomorrah. The Gomorrah says he's eino b'mitzvahs. So therefore, says the Gomorrah, it's not because he's not obligated. It's not because he doesn't have any connection to the mitzvah of Mila. He has a connection to Mila, but you can't prove that the connection, that there is no connection of Mila and being a kosher witness, because I'll tell you the reason why the Eved, I'll tell you the reason why the Katan is not he's Pasal Edis is because he's Eino b'mitzvahs. So in other words, it's not because there's no connection between Mila and Edis. It's the reason that the Katan is Pasal Edis is because he's not obligated in mitzvahs. However, an Eved, says the Gomorrah, who is obligated in mitzvahs, so he's obligated in mitzvahs, and he is obligated in the mitzvah of Mila. And so, even though a woman is also obligated in mitzvahs, but she is excluded because of a pasuk. Eved is not excluded because of that pasuk, and therefore we're maintaining that he would be kosher as a witness because he does have achba according to Rabbanan, and he's chayiv in mitzvahs, and he has the mitzvah of Mila, and perhaps because of those factors, he is a kosher witness, in spite of the fact that a isha is not, and that a katan is not, but he is. That's where the Gomorrah is holding right now. So on that, the Gomorrah answers, and we didn't read this yet. So let's have Phil read the next. Isha tochiach.
Okay, let me get the right spot here. We're up to Isha tochiach. Okay, the woman.
First word in the line is b'mitzvah.
I see. Okay. Isha tochiach. The woman proves it. She yishna b'mitzvah, because they are. They do have to learn. They do have to learn mitzvahs. Upasal latest, and they are possible latest.
They're chayiv in mitzvahs.
Yeah, they are chayiv in mitzvahs.
That she has
but they have
an
no
obligation
pasuk.
to do mitzvahs.
But they're not allowed to be. But they're not allowed to be pasuk latest.
Right. So what is that? What is that mochiach?
That somebody can have mitzvahs and still be possible latest, and that's kind of like against the Eved.
Right. So we cannot say. Well, we cannot say that that we cannot say about the katan. We cannot say about the katan that, oh, you know why he's pasuk la'edis? It's because he's not chayav in mitzvahs. Gomorrah says, oh yeah, well, we could find you a person who is absolutely obligated in mitzvahs, and nevertheless they're absolutely puzzled to be an aid. So what do you see? You see that this factor of being obligated in mitzvahs is not the connection that creates the kashrus for edus. So therefore, you have no right to say that a katan is puzzle because he's not chayiv in mitzvahs. Because we have a isha who is chayiv in mitzvahs, and yet she's also just as puzzle as a katan is from being an aid. So you see that being chayiv in mitzvahs is not what makes you a kosher aid. That's the point. You see that being chayiv or not chayiv in mitzvahs is not what makes you yes a kosher aid or not a kosher aid. There's no connection. That's what we showed. Because both katan as well as isha, both of them are pasal le'edus, in spite of the fact that one is chayiv in mitzvahs and the other one is not. Okay. when you start thinking about these things over here, you'll never finish it. Okay. Okay, so now we go to the next step. Lou, you want to read the next step? The Chazar Hadin. We are up to B'chazar Hadin.
88.3.
I was muted. The Chazar Hadin, the argument repeats itself. Lo roy zeh kiroi zeh. It's not the nature of this one is not like the nature of that one. Below roy zeh kiroi zeh. The nature of that one's not like the nature of this one. Chetzi hashaba she bahen.
That's side, the side. The common side. Hatzad hashava shebahen. The common thing in both of them. The common trait of both of them. Not chetzi.
That's what's the common to both of them. The woman and the minor is Shekain Einan B'chol HaMitzvos, that they are not included in all the commandments. Upesulin Lahaid, and they are unfit to testify. Af ani avi es ha Eved. I too shall bring the slave. She'eno b'chol hamitzvos, who is not included in all of the commandments, who pasol le'edus, and he is unfit for testimony.
Hey. So what the Gomorrah did over here was is make what we call a tzad hashava, which basically means this is the seder of the Gomorrah all the time. The Gomorrah starts off, oh, we got a kal v'chomer, and then the Gomorrah says, no, you don't have a kal v'chomer. We got a pircha on your kal v'chomer. You haven't found any one case which is absolutely more chomor than the other cases, and therefore you have no kal v'chomer. Each case has something that's chomer about it and something that's not chomer about it. And so therefore the Gomorrah says, but what we could do is we could make a tzad hashava. That's also a derivation method. Tzad hashava, it's called. That's what the Gomorrah calls it here also. And the way that works is that we find that even though, and we're making this tzad hashava from, we got three cases. We got Eved, we got Kotten, and we've got Isha. So what we're going to do with this tzad hashava here is we're going to say, look, Isha and Kotten, even though one of them has a chomer, and which the other one doesn't have, the other one has a chomer that one doesn't have, right? Isha is chayav in some mitzvahs. Kotten is not chayav in any mitzvahs. Isha has no connection to Mila. Kotten has a connection to Mila. So each one of them has something relatively more weighty than the other one. So we can't. But they do have something in common between them. The one thing they have in common between them is that both of them are not chayav in all of the mitzvahs. They're not chayav in all mitzvahs. And so therefore we say, oh, that's the common factor between them, which accounts for the fact that they are, both of them, admittedly, a pasala edis. And therefore, the Gomorrah follows through and says, okay, so you know what? The Eved also belongs in that club. He also is not obligated in all the mitzvahs. And so just like the two of them are not obligated in all the mitzvahs, and we see that they are pasula edus, we will therefore derive that an Eved who is also not chayav in all the mitzvahs, that's the reason why he will be pasula edus. And so accordingly, the Gomorrah has shown that an Eved, in fact, is a pasula edus, even though he has achba, and even though he has mila, and even though he's chayav in many mitzvahs, since he's not chayav in all of them, so he's like in the same category as Ish and Katan, who both of them are pasula edus. So we say he is also going to be in that category, and that must be the category that the people that are pasula and edus, that's what the category is. It's because that they're not chayav in all the mitzvahs. And now we have come up to a Rashi. Rashi di b'maskal einon b'chol hamitzvahs. 3 minutes left.
They're not chayav in all the mitzvahs. Ela b'miktsat, only in some of them. The
Right.
Eshet mechayev that the woman is chayav in. The lavim in negatives, the onshin, and things having punishment, and the katan yishnu b'mila, and a katan you have to learn has to have a mila.
Interesting. Doesn't say that a katan is chayav in mila because he's not chayav in that either, but he's yeshno b'mila. The mitzvah is done on him. So he's in that category of people who are not chayav in all the mitzvahs. Okay, that's it, right? Okay. We got now 2 minutes to go. Now the Gomorrah is going to attempt to disprove the Tzad HaShava. Roy, you want to read in 2 minutes the next part of the Gomorrah?
Try to. Malahat Sad.
Yeah.
Mahalat Sad Hashaveh Shibahim. What comparison can be made to these two, which possess a second characteristic common to both of them, the woman and the minor? Shechain Eino Eish, namely that neither is an adult man. Toma Be'evid, can you say the same about a slave? Shehu Ish, who is an adult man? No. Therefore, the witness ineligibility of a woman and a minor cannot be extrapolated to a slave. And the Gemara attempts a new derivation.
The catch here, let's go back to the Rashi, finish that thing. The concept is when it says Eina Ish, it's not talking about a slave. We really, in a sense, can call the Eved an Ish. When it says Eino Ish, it just means not a Katan. He's a minor. That's what it means by Eino Ish. Below Karinanin, and it's not called the Emedes, Shnei, Anashim, and these two men.
What's Rashi telling us over here? How's he interpreting the Gomorrah? Because both of these two, the Katan and the Isha, they cannot be called ish, meaning that they don't fit into the pasuk of ki amdu shnei anashim, which is the source in the Torah for being a kosher aid. We see that a kosher aid is called an ish, and so in other words, not only are they not chayav in all the mitzvahs, but they don't have the appellation of ish. Whereas the Eved, he says the Gomorrah, Rashi is the Gomorrah says he is ish. He would fit into that pasuk. So therefore you can't say that just because of those two, the Isha and the Katan are Pasal Edis, that the Eved is therefore Pasal Edis, because they have something, they have a deficiency that he does not have. And maybe that's and maybe that deficiency is the reason why they are excluded from being a kosher witness. Whereas the Eved, he doesn't have that deficiency. Maybe he is a kosher witness, in spite of the fact that he's not chayav in all mitzvahs. Okay, we almost did it. It's 12:31, so that's close enough to being on time. So we will say goodbye for today.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Rabbi Levitt.
Have a wonderful Yom Sheni, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yud Aleph Kislev.